Post-training notice. National First-Class Registered Exorcist. Chapter 78. Gambling Party. Zhi Ziaduo's head was already spinning from Xicheng's words, and he said, "Are you, or are you not? Stop teasing me for your own amusement." Xicheng didn't reply to that question. Instead, he suggested, "Let's go walk around and digest our meal a bit, ba. Do you want to see a movie? I want a smoke after eating." "All right," Zhi Ziaduo said. He suspected that Xicheng really was that president, yeah, but this guy was too black-bellied, and maybe he would tease him for fun again later. "Do you gamble?" Xicheng asked. "I'll take you to play a low-stakes gambling game later, how about it?" "I don't really like to gamble," Zhi Ziaduo especially abhorred gambling. Xicheng suddenly said, "Right, you wouldn't like that." Sorry, I forgot." Zhi Ziaduo. "How do you know that I won't like it?" Zhi Ziaduo asked Xicheng. Xicheng thought for a bit, then said, "Because you just said that Macau has many casinos but you don't like gambling, so you didn't play at them." "Did I?" Zhi Ziaduo remembered that he did say something about not gambling in Macau, but he hadn't mentioned anything about not liking gambling. Careful going down the stairs, Xicheng took his hand and got off the carpet. "I'm not opposed to you gambling," Zhi Ziaduo said, "it's really no problem, it's just that I won't gamble." "You can do whatever you want, don't mind me." On the high seas, the back of a gigantic beast emerged from the dark waters for a fleeting moment before sinking down into the water underneath the cruise ship. That was a sea beast who had been involved in the creation of the very world itself, and its tail rubbed slightly against the cruise ship, hitting the left side of the ship. The cruise ship shook violently, and Zhi Ziaduo was caught off guard. He let out a cry, and Xicheng immediately pulled him into his arms, protecting his head. The two of them fell from the stairs, landing in the hallway. Zhi Ziaduo was out of it for a bit, and Xicheng held him tightly. After a moment, the ship trembled slightly again. "What's going on?" "Undercurrents," Xicheng hugged him, their breaths intermingling in the small space between them. "Is everything okay?" Zhi Ziaduo lifted his head to look at the ceiling, his arm wrapped around Xicheng's neck. He started to think wildly, "Will we sink? Then we'll have a scene like Jack and Rose in the Titanic, so scary." "Wait a bit," Xicheng said. "Don't get up yet." Zhi Ziaduo's heart beat wildly, and as he was pressed against the carpet by Xicheng, they looked each other in the face. Xicheng's lips moved, and at that moment, Zhi Ziaduo had a strange idea. "I want to move my lips closer and kiss him." No, that's too direct. At least get his WeChat first." "No. Why do I have this kind of feeling, And he felt that Xicheng had gone hard below. Footsteps came from above, and a bodyguard hurried down and asked, "Boss?" "I'm fine." Xicheng got up, pulled Zhi Ziaduo up, and asked, "What happened?" "There were undercurrents," the bodyguard replied. Xicheng nodded, and the bodyguard went to the end of the hallway to open the door for him. As soon as they went out, Xicheng's phone rang and he ordered, "Ask him to wait there for a bit, treat him well." Zhi Ziaduo's brain filled in the rest, a thrilling Macau-style police and gangster film, and he wondered if Xicheng could be some big boss. At that moment, he instinctively felt a hint of danger, and asked, "Right, I don't know where my friend went, so I'd better go find her." "Call her?" Xicheng asked. Zhi Ziaduo kept feeling that something was off, although he couldn't say exactly what. He called his best friend, and Bestie said that she had gotten to know someone and that they were chatting right now, so he didn't need to mind her. Zhi Ziaduo was still a bit uneasy, so Xicheng offered, "Would you like to go there and see her?" Xicheng opened a door, which led out to the deck. Bestie really was there, and Zhi Ziaduo called out to her. Bestie turned her head, waved at Zhi Ziaduo, and motioned for him to leave. That set him at ease. Shi Cheng asked, now what are you thinking of? Nothing, Zhi Xiaoduo said, when my friends heard I was coming here today, they also all really wanted to come. Call them. Shi Cheng said, we can invite all of them here but we're already out in international waters now, Zhi Xiaoduo said, can I call all of them over tomorrow? Zhi Xiaoduo was mainly thinking of Chen Lang. If he could bring Chen Lang around, he would definitely like it a lot. If you like it, then of course, Shi Cheng said, we could also invite them over now. We could just call up a helicopter or speedboat to pick them up, a helicopter would be faster. Zhi Xiaoduo hurriedly said, no, that's too much trouble. Shi Cheng took him to enter the tea room, and the bodyguard came over to light his cigar for him. A fairy tale play was being performed on the stage, and there were many kids sitting in the tea room. A waiter came over bringing desserts and 2 cups of coffee. Asterisk. Inside the casino. According to legend, this is something from your Tang Dynasty China. A beautiful woman in a kipao took the box the translator handed her and opened it on the table. Inside was a pistol that gleamed with a faint golden light. During your Chinese Ming dynasty, the translator explained based on the old man's Portuguese, it is said that the heavens bestowed this magic weapon upon the Ming emperor. In the 8th year of the Ming Wanli emperor, Zhu Yujun gave this to Qi Wang. Later, it was stolen by the Japanese, and then was lost as part of a shipwreck in the Ryukyu Islands. Mr. Martini's family salvaged it. Xiang Cheng put on his white gloves, took out the pistol, turned it over, glanced at the rusty area at the end of the gun, put it back, and put his hands behind his back, his expression not changing at all through that entire process. Feng Li looked to Xiang Cheng for advice, and Xiang Cheng nodded slightly, narrowing his eyes, indicating that there was no problem. The old man with the white beard named Martini removed his cigar and said something to the translator. For people from China, this is a very important cultural relic, the translator said. Feng Li replied, yes, but where it will belong in the end is yet unknown. His men came over and whispered a few words. Feng Li stood up straight, looked outside, and said, let her in. A moment later, Zhou Wanyuan rolled in like a red cloud. First, she swept a gaze across everyone assembled, and Martini laughed and wiggled his eyebrows at her. Zhou Wanyuan sweetly smiled, then glanced at Feng Li, Xiang Cheng, the gun, and the beauty in the kipao in turn. Zhou Wanyuan's expression was full of disdain, and she walked to Kita's side and sat down. Whether consciously or not, Xiang Cheng glanced towards Zhou Wanyuan and Kita's position. Then, let's start ba. Feng Li pondered for a moment and said gently, I will take President Ye's place and fritter away the evening with Mr. Martini. Feng Li made a please gesture, and everyone got up. Zhou Wanyuan glanced at Kita, and Kita also got up and went over there. Mr. Martini still didn't know where Kita had come from, but Keaton nodded slightly and sat down in front of one of the positions at the gambling table. Is Mr. Chang interested? Feng Li asked. Of course. Kita said, I came down so early just to satiate a bit of my gambling addiction. I'm sure I won't be rejected ba. Of course not. Feng Li laughed, all who come here are welcome. Please sit down. Mr. Martini was a little surprised, nodded, said a few words to the translator, and the translator asked, this gentleman is part of a family business. Kita said, we make bags and buy. Everyone laughed, and Zhou Wanyuan also came over and stood by the gambling table with one hand on the card table. Xiang Cheng and Feng Li stood next to another seat, and neither of them sat down. Feng Li made an please gesture and the waiter took the chips and bowed down to push them in front of Kita. 1.6 million yuan worth of chips. Mr. Martini also got chips. Chips were also set in front of Feng Li, and the dealer spread his hands and prepared to deal cards. In the tea room, the night performance began, and the waiters served wine. Shi Cheng smoked a cigar, and Zhi Xiaoduo drank some coffee, which he thought tasted really good. People began to perform magic tricks on stage. Qi Wei took Kita and Zhou Wanyuan's place and went to the restaurant on the deck. Xian Hezi roasted beef in the kitchen and ate while roasting the meat. Chen Lang watched the vaudeville and magic show curiously, his mouth opened wide. Zhi Xiaoduo, however, was a little distracted. He kept feeling that Shi Cheng was watching him, but whenever he turned around half-consciously, Shi Cheng would be watching the performance seriously. Under the dim light, Shi Cheng's side profile was still pretty good-looking. Mainly, his nose was high, and his ears and skin couldn't be seen clearly. A hazy outline, on the contrary, gave him a cool aura. "Is it nice?" Shi Cheng asked. "Not bad," Zhi Xiaoduo said, eating pistachios. "I prefer the tricks where they keep changing over and over and over again, the comedic ones. Spitting fire is still a little. I'm too used to it." Shi Cheng said, "I meant, my face." Zhi Xiaoduo. Zhi Xiaoduo's entire face went red, and Shi Cheng said, "Why don't we just stare at each other? I think you are much more attractive than the performance." Zhi Xiaoduo hurriedly said, Sorry, I was rude." Shi Cheng said a command into his headset, and Zhi Xiaoduo pretended to be absorbed in the performance. However, on the stage, someone came from backstage to tell them something, and the vaudeville stepped off the stage. Zhi Xiaoduo thought, "No way, right, I didn't make you guys lose your performance fee tonight, right? I didn't do it on purpose." A singer appeared on stage. The singer was actually very famous, and Zhi Xiaoduo was startled. This guy was also making an appearance. The singer smiled at everyone, and the whole place erupted in applause. The singer sat down, and as soon as the lights changed, he began to sing. In the soft music, a flickering lamp was lit up in front of Shi Cheng and Zhi Xiaoduo on the table. When the music started, it was Madonna's "You Must Love Me." "Where do we go from here? This isn't where we intended to be. We had it all, you believed in me, and I believed in you. I wanted to look at you for a while." Shi Cheng said, "Please forgive my boldness. I am speaking sincerely." Zhi Xiaoduo. Zhi Xiaoduo didn't know how to answer that at all, and was a little moved. Shi Cheng didn't say anything anymore, and he just sat there quietly, watching him. Zhi Xiaoduo felt that he really was moved now. At first, he had only kind of liked Shi Cheng, but sitting face to face, in this dim light, with the music flowing around them, he could read the many words that flowed through Shi Cheng's eyes. Many were meaningless and did not belong to any language, and it was just purely sincere communication from his heart. It seemed that with every minute that passed, in just this short half of a night, they had a better understanding of each other's souls. "Deep in my heart I'm concealing things that I'm longing to say. How do you feel?" Shi Cheng asked. Zhi Xiaoduo stared at Shi Cheng and said, "It's a very strange feeling, like. This is terrible. We've only known each other for 2.5 hours. Are you actually hypnotizing me?" Shi Cheng looked at his watch, then up into Zhi Xiaoduo's eyes. 2 hours and 47 minutes. Shi Cheng said, "Do you think I look like a hypnotist?" Zhi Xiaoduo laughed. "You're so cute." Shi Cheng said. "You're so cute too." Zhi Xiaoduo said, "Do you often pick up girls?" "No, pick up little shows like this. That makes me so sad." Shi Cheng said, "I never treat anyone like this. Will you believe me if I say that the banquet tonight is actually to celebrate your birthday?" Zhi Xiaoduo said, "Don't be like this. If it's too exaggerated, it won't be funny anymore. The birthday cake is already prepared." Shi Cheng said, "Do you believe it? I'll have them bring it out later." Zhi Xiaoduo said, "You must have had someone make it just now. Deep in my heart I'm concealing things that I'm longing to say." Shi Cheng shrugged and raised his eyebrows, not saying anything more. Ji Xiaoduo knew that Xicheng must want to keep him as a sugar baby. He kept feeling that something like that was not good, and was even a little strange. But even if he said no, his body was very honest. He felt that this was really beautiful, just like a completely unrealistic dream. At this time, Xicheng answered the phone again. Obviously, he was really busy. Maybe he had asked people not to disturb him while they were eating, but as soon as dinner was over, the phone just kept ringing. I think you may need to come over. Let me check out the situation, ba. Xicheng took off his headset and thought for a while. Ji Xiaoduo said, "What's the matter? If you have something to deal with, don't mind me. I'll wait for you here, and I definitely won't leave." "It's a small matter," Xicheng said, "but I don't want to be separated from you. Can you come with me? I promise you won't be out of place." Ji Xiaoduo hurriedly said, No, I can find a place to watch TV." Xicheng said, "What if I say I hope you can come with me?" "Then that's okay." Ji Xiaoduo replied. Xicheng got up and said, "Let's go, ba." The bodyguard was waiting outside the door. Ji Xiaoduo and Xicheng went down the stairs and entered the game hall on the 4th floor. Chen Zhen and Chen Lang were playing a game, and Chen Lang was riding a motorcycle, swaying left and right. Chen Zhen glanced over inadvertently and saw Xicheng with Ji Xiaoduo walking from a distance, and immediately said, "I see Xiaoduo, who is the one next to Xiaoduo?" "I don't know." Qi Wei said, "I guess it's their boss. I just saw them walking together in the tea room. He's immortal, and I don't feel any Yao Qi from him." Xicheng walked into the casino hall, and the chips on the table had piled into a mountain. Xicheng nodded and smiled at Mr. Martini. "Valpolicella." Martinez laughed and said, "Martini." Xicheng shook his hand and hugged him. "Hello," Xicheng nodded at Kita. Ji Xiaoduo had the feeling of being completely electrocuted when he saw Kita and Zhou Wanyuan. "Ha ha ha. President Ye, hello. I am Gugla Torura Kodak." Kita got up and shook hands with Xicheng. Xicheng shook Kita's hand in a refined way and introduced himself, "Valpolicella." Ji Xiaoduo. So, it turned out that Gagan Torura Kita could be translated like that. Ji Xiaoduo really couldn't describe his own feelings right now. Feng Li's eyes were lowered. Most of the chips on the table were in front of Kita right now, and Kita smiled victoriously. With just a glance, Xicheng understood the situation, and he sat down in the empty chair in front of Feng Li and Kita. Ji Xiaoduo gnashed his teeth at Kita. He hadn't settled the matter of the tickets with him yet. Kita simply pretended to not see him, working with Zhou Wanyuan to overpower the rest of the table. "Do you want to see a movie?" Xicheng asked Ji Xiaoduo. "Oh, okay," Ji Xiaoduo thought, "Kita should win this, right?" Feng Li had freaked out and called Xicheng over to save him. "This is really too unreliable, right? How much has he won? Also, what is that thing on the table?" Xiang Cheng walked over with a remote control and casually gave it to Ji Xiaoduo. At that moment, at the gaming table, several people seemed to hold their breaths. "Oh, thank you." Ji Xiaoduo glanced at Xiang Cheng, and then started pressing buttons on the remote control. Xiang Cheng stood at Ji Xiaoduo's side, staring at his profile silently. There was a complicated look in his eyes, and he didn't say a word. "What is it, La?" Ji Xiaoduo asked. Feng Li waved at Xiang Cheng, and Xiang Cheng glanced at him, then turned around and left. There was a gigantic screen behind the gaming table, and with Ji Xiaoduo's click of the button, the Spring Festival Gala started up. It was a whole display of rapture, joy, and noise, and colorful mascots jumped around on the screen. Kita was looking at his cards, but his thoughts immediately flew into chaos. "Zhou Wanyuan, can you not watch that? All the channels are playing this." Ji Xiaoduo flipped through a few channels. Mr. Martini asked for a translation and asked if the TV was broken. The translator explained that it wasn't broken, that was just how it was. You can watch whatever you like. Xicheng said, no need to mind anyone else. Then he said to Zhou Wanyuan, Miss, this is my ship, and I also like to watch this. Zhou Wanyuan. Under the bright red stage lights of the Spring Festival Gala, the three people continued to gamble. Kita was driven to distraction by the noisy chorus, and he hurriedly motioned Zhi Xiaoduo to turn down the volume. A moment later, a Xiangsheng segment began, so the three of them played Texas Hold'em to the sound of the Xiangsheng section. Mr. Martini still didn't know what was happening and couldn't understand Chinese. From time to time, he would ask the translator explained the gist of the joke to Mr. Martini, and Mr. Martini laughed loudly. When he heard something funny, Xicheng also laughed, while Zhi Xiaoduo was laughing so hard that he was rolling around on the sofa. Within an hour, Xicheng had won back all of Kita's chips. I'm done, I'm done. Kita stretched and said, my feng shui has changed, I'll go out for a walk. Mr. Martini's chips were almost all gone, while Zhou Wanyuan had been watching that box the entire time. Let me buy. Zhou Wanyuan said. The dealer started dealing out cards. Do you know how to Kita stood at the side, glanced over, and said, how can you call now? Can you shut up Zhou Wanyuan said, Lao Niang has watched you playing this whole time without saying anything, what are you kicking up a fuss about? Do you play mahjong Kita said, you even said play. Zhi Xiaoduo. Zhi Xiaoduo looked at the box on the table curiously, thinking what are they doing? Could you hurry up please? Xicheng looked at Zhi Xiaoduo and signaled that he would be done soon. Mr. Martini had 2 chips left, and right then, he finally wagered the box. The attendant came forward and put a box of chips in front of Mr. Martini. After replacing the box, Mr. Martini held the box down and said something. The translator said, Mr. Martini said that he wanted chips and the box. The 10 million chips just now were just to exchange for this box. N. Xicheng said, I think that's very reasonable. Please continue. Zhi Xiaoduo vaguely guessed, is there something valuable in that box? He suddenly understood that Martini was using gambling to trade the box with Xicheng. Was there something very important in the box? He had heard of some underground trading methods, using chips to launder money, or avoiding the eyes and ears of the government to trade priceless treasures. Xicheng was probably doing illegal business. Mr. Martini laughed a few times and shook his head. Xicheng smiled at him, looked at Zhou Wanyuan again and asked, will the miss like to make a call? Call. Zhou Wanyuan said. Let's play one last game. Xicheng said, Xiang Cheng, you go and tell them to send out the cake. Yes. Xiang Cheng said in a low voice. At this moment, everyone besides Mr. Martini grew quiet again. Kita, Xicheng, Fengli, and Zhou Wanyuan all looked at Zhi Xiaoduo at the same time. When Zhi Xiaoduo heard this name, his ears twitched a little, and he thought of something. He turned his head and glanced over, and Xiang Cheng also turned his head and looked at him. As soon as their eyes met, Zhi Xiaoduo inexplicably continued to watch TV. So. Xicheng said, hold time, no more playing around, get ready to eat cake. Fengli bowed down and pushed 10 million yuan worth of chips to the center of the gambling table. If we're doing hold M, then hold M. Zhou Wanyuan said. Kita whispered, are you sure we can get reimbursed? Miss Zhou, this much is going to kill people. Should we call someone to ask first? Zhou Wanyuan. Whatever. Zhou Wanyuan whispered, either way, we have to finish this mission. If we fail, then don't think you can keep messing around either. Kita had no choice but to bow down and push the chips forward. End chapter. Post-training notice. National First-Class Registered Exorcist. Chapter 79. Absconding. Mr. Martini chuckled a little and shook his head. The beautiful woman beside him took the locked box and pushed it into the middle. Zhi Xiaoduo glanced at the center of the gambling table, and he couldn't help growing nervous. 11:30. Zhou Wanyuan glanced at her cards. Everyone's attention was focused on the box in the center, and dimly, Zhi Xiaoduo thought of something. The identity that Zhou Wanyuan had adopted along the way Qi Wei and Kita and the rest of them treated her. All of those illogical details grew clear in that moment. Had they come just for the sake of this box? Zhi Xiaoduo was greatly frightened by his own guess. Xian Hezi, Chen Zhen, Kita, even Qi Wei. And Zhou Wanyuan as well. The reason that these people had arrived so suddenly, appearing by his side with no warning at all, one after the other, had it all been for the sake of tonight? But he met Chen Zhen before his bestie had received the invite to Macau. How did they know that he was coming to Macau? Could it have been that a whole month ago, Qi Wei had known that Shi Cheng would come? They must be members of the National Intelligence Agency. Zhi Xiaoduo thought. Yes. That was exactly it. Based on the 007 spy movies that he had watched, he put together the entire story. Mr. Martini was planning to exchange an important national relic with Shi Cheng on the night of New Year's Eve, so the members of the Special Forces, Chen Zhen, Zhou Wanyuan, Qi Wei, Xian Hezi, and the rest of them each took on a role to play, figuring out ways to sneak in and prevent this deal. So, they had borrowed his bestie's identity, and while she had a blind date with Feng Li, they figured out ways to sneak onto the ship. Could his bestie also be a National First-Class Special Forces member? But she didn't seem like one. That's right. She had sought him out before to learn Taekwondo. But wouldn't members of the Special Forces know how to fight to start with? And why had Shi Cheng gotten so close to him just now? For the sake of getting information out of him. But he hadn't asked a single question involving Chen Zhen. Zhi Xiaoduo had figured out the overall context, understanding that he had been swept up in a stunning plot, but he was still lacking in some details. He stood up and went over to look at the table. Shi Cheng said to him, "It'll be over very soon." Zhi Xiaoduo nodded, thinking, should I help by snatching this box? But who would I be helping? Kita. He vaguely sensed again that something was wrong. Shi Cheng flipped over his cards. 3-6s. Mr. Martini flipped his cards. An ace. Zhou Wanyuan's visible cards were a pair of sevens, and she immediately began to laugh loudly, to the point where she was laughing up a storm. Xiang Cheng's expression changed, and Zhou Wanyuan began to aya, saying, "Really sorry. Hand it over, ba." Feng Li said mildly, "Don't rush. Do you really think that the last card is also a 7? I don't think that's very likely." Zhou Wanyuan pointed at the last card. "I have 1. The door opened, and a large 6-layer cake was pushed inside. "Happy birthday to you," Xian Hezi whistled as he pushed the dining cart along. Zhi Xiaoduo. Kita laughed loudly. Shi Cheng studied the two of them silently. Mr. Martini rose and said something, and the translator said, "Mr. Martini says that he's already lost, and he's very sorry about that." Zhou Wanyuan flipped the last card. It was a 3. Everyone. Zhou Wanyuan, what are you all standing around for? Attack. Immediately, Zhou Wanyuan overturned the table. Zhi Xiaoduo thought, they're attacking now, and he hurriedly hid behind the sofa. Feng Li, however, shouted, "Gagantorura Kita. Are you seeking death?" Mr. Martini's expression shifted and he grabbed the lockbox, moving to flee through the door. Xian Hezi, however, kicked the dining cart, which came towards them. Shi Cheng shouted, "Don't shoot." Mr. Martini's bodyguard pulled out a handgun, and the sound of its shot echoed through the casino. Shrill screams rang out from outside. "Did you get the item?" Chen Zhen called into his earpiece. "The harbor patrol has already arrived to take control. Get out of there immediately." In the dark of the night, searchlights shone from several military helicopters as they flew towards the cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. The personnel on board began to shout, but the guests on the deck didn't understand what they were doing, and they all looked up towards the sky. There were several more gunshots, and bullets flew through the casino. Mr. Martini suspected that he had been ambushed by Feng Li, and he hurriedly urged his men to run. Zhou Wanyuan flipped the table over and snatched up a gun, taking out 4 people in the span of a second. "Don't get in my way." Zhou Wanyuan sent the translator away with a kick. Kita leaped forward, taking the handgun that Zhou Wanyuan had, and he began to fire towards Xicheng and Feng Li's group of people. Both sides were now completely ignoring the existence of Mr. Martini and his bodyguards as they began to engage in a fierce firefight in the casino. Bullets went flying as Feng Li came out, carrying an assault rifle. He pointed it at Kita and began to shoot. Xicheng kicked one foot out at the box, which spun as it slid towards Zhi Ziaduo. Xicheng shouted, "Hang on tight. You. You're not a good guy." Zhi Ziaduo hugged the box to himself and bent over to escape, but Xicheng raced after him out of the room. Kita bellowed into his earpiece, "They've run outside." Xian Hezi raced towards Xicheng and in midair, he sliced downwards, putting the full weight of his body behind that swing. Xicheng dashed forward, grabbed Zhi Ziaduo, and turned 180 degrees. He sent a chair flying with a kick, and Xian Hezi's blade came down with a shua as it sliced the chair in two. "Don't use magic!" Chen Zhen shouted. "No matter what, you mustn't use magic. There's no way to clean that up." Zhi Ziaduo wanted to run, but Xicheng grabbed his hand and forcefully dragged him back into his arms. "Trust me. Come with me." Xicheng looked at Zhi Ziaduo. Their eyes met for a moment, before Xicheng lowered his head and kissed him. In that instant, Zhi Ziaduo's mind went completely blank. Xicheng grabbed Zhi Ziaduo's hand and began to flee. They passed through the gaming lounge, where Chen Lang was still riding a motorcycle, and behind him passed Xicheng, fleeing for his life, and Zhi Ziaduo, completely dazed and confused. "That was my first kiss, ah!" Zhi Ziaduo yelled angrily. Xicheng simply smiled and he didn't say anything. Qi Wei came charging towards them from the side, and he and Zhi Ziaduo saw each other. Immediately, Zhi Ziaduo was startled. "Why are you also? Hurry up and escape!" Qi Wei shouted, and he struck a pose, instantly exchanging 3 blows with Xicheng. He dragged Zhi Ziaduo towards him, but Xicheng went immediately for the bend of Qi Wei's knee with a foot, successfully dragging Zhi Ziaduo back. Behind him came a series of gunshots, and all around them were flying debris from the game machines. Xicheng shielded Zhi Ziaduo as they ducked and ran into the main hall. "Put your hands up, immediately. This is the Macau Outer Harbor Police Patrol." But before the voice in the speakers finished shouting, Feng Li turned the assault rifle and swept it across the windows. The air was filled with shrill screams and glass fragments. Chen Zhen came racing out, only for another bodyguard to tackle him to the floor. Kita kicked backwards, sending the bodyguard flying. Kita and Xicheng's bodyguards were battling each other with handguns. Chen Lang still hadn't realized what was going on, and he rode along on the motorcycle, swaying left and right. Xicheng and Zhi Ziaduo ducked behind an electronic game. Chen Lang was very focused on his racing game, while behind him came the loud reports of gunshots, causing the simulation to quake every time. Zhi Ziaduo hurriedly gestured towards Chen Lang, who, upon noticing them, was very shocked. He looked down at the two of them, and Xicheng hurriedly pulled Chen Lang down, making him hide behind the bar to prevent him from getting hit with a stray bullet. "Go," Xicheng said. With that, Shi Cheng took Zhi Ziaduo's hand and turned behind the stairwell. Several times, Qi Wei wanted to fire at them, but he was afraid of harming Zhi Ziaduo. In his left hand, he held a gun, while in his right he gathered up a fireball. "Go up first. Don't mind me," Shi Cheng said. Zhi Ziaduo climbed up the stairwell. The fire left Qi Wei's hand, exploding with a boom. Shi Cheng almost fell down, and Xian Hezi somersaulted through the air, borrowing the momentum of his flip to hack down at him. With an angered bellow, Shi Cheng grabbed the railings whose ends had broken off in that explosion, and with both legs, he did a big spinning grab backwards. Zhi Ziaduo turned to look and was immediately struck dumb. "Too awesome!" Shi Cheng's suit fluttered in the wind, and his heels traveled with Xian Hezi's wrists for one revolution, sending Xian Hezi slamming bodily into the ground. Several aluminum Coke cans fell out of his pockets, rolling around on the ground. "Go!" Shi Cheng ran, bedraggled, up onto the deck. He pressed down on his earpiece and said into his phone, "I'm leaving first. I'll leave the rest to you. Do not use magic." Feng Li's voice replied. "Don't transform. No matter what, don't use it. Otherwise, Mara will sense that." The inflatable lifeboat equipped with a propeller landed in the water. Shi Cheng slung one leg over the railings, standing out by the side of the ship, before he turned and stretched a hand out to Zhi Ziaduo. The icy cold sea wind gusted across the world, passing over the enraged sea as it blew towards Zhi Ziaduo. He held the box in his hands as he looked at Shi Cheng. "Come with me," Shi Cheng said. Zhi Ziaduo turned back to look at where they had come from. The helicopter was flying towards them. "Is he a bad person? Will he take me as a hostage?" Zhi Ziaduo wondered subconsciously. Is Shi Cheng a good person or a bad person? He met Shi Cheng's eyes, and in that split second, he seemed to read what he was thinking, as if he had seen a brilliant star shining in the dark of the night. Right after that, he held the box as he stepped out over the side of the ship. Shi Cheng began to smile, and in midair, pulled Zhi Ziaduo into his arms. The two of them flew towards the lifeboat. Zhi Ziaduo's head spun from that fall, while Shi Cheng put one foot on the propeller and tugged on the cord. The lifeboat turned around, thrumming as it left the cruise ship behind, entering the dark of the sea. "Did you catch them?" Kita asked. "That guy took Zhi Ziaduo away with him," Xian Hezi shouted. Chen Zhen said, "Qi Wei, watch Xiang Cheng carefully, don't let his men rescue him. Kita, take some people with you to chase down the lifeboat." But right then, the cruise ship jolted violently, and everyone on board let out a loud shout. Thankfully, the boat did not sink, but there was no way for the helicopter to get close to the portholes to pick up any people. Arrows of water shot out from the ocean, and the helicopter in the sky pulled away. Before they had the time to take anyone on board, they went racing across the surface of the sea. The inflatable life raft sped along, lightning fast, as it shot into the ocean. In the distance came the lights of their pursuers, and the sweeping searchlights on the helicopters. The wind and waves were strong, and Zhi Ziaduo got a faceful of seawater. Shi Cheng held Zhi Ziaduo very tightly, both of them completely drenched. Shi Cheng lowered his head and hugged Zhi Ziaduo in his arms, while Zhi Ziaduo lifted his head to look at Shi Cheng. "Are you cold?" Shi Cheng asked quietly, pressing a kiss to Zhi Ziaduo's forehead. "Sorry, it's my fault." When Zhi Ziaduo heard those words, he didn't understand why, but his tears suddenly began to fall. "Why exactly did you want to bring me with you as you escaped?" Zhi Ziaduo asked. "Because I like you," Shi Cheng said. "Didn't I say so?" The helicopter was getting closer and closer, and Zhi Ziaduo said, "This isn't the time for a confession. They'll catch up to us and take us back. Look. It's all because of you." Shi Cheng looked back, before saying, "Don't worry. I have a plan." Zhi Ziaduo wanted to say something more, but Xicheng groped around on his body, pulling out his phone. He connected a pair of earbuds and stuffed them into Zhi Ziaduo's ears, before starting to play a song. Zhi Ziaduo. On the phone screen, the album cover began to spin. The lifeboat was moving faster and faster, basically flying across the surface of the ocean. It shook vigorously as it carried Zhi Ziaduo and Xicheng along, but several times, when Zhi Ziaduo thought that he was going to be thrown off flying, Xicheng was always holding tightly onto him. The sea seemed to startle awake in that instant, and it began to roil furiously, as if there was an ancient beast under the waves that was trying to escape its bonds and charge into the sky. Xicheng shouted at Zhi Ziaduo, "Look behind us." As the countdown to the new year began, thousands of fireworks that soon became tens of thousands shot up from the cruiser, lighting up the entire sky. Boom! 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 The fireworks were impossibly brilliant, and they bloomed in the night sky, several dozen at a time, before thousands went up in the span of 10 seconds, so many that they looked as if they were going to pierce through the sky itself. A golden ring of light swept outwards, expanding swiftly. The shiu 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 sounds of the fireworks going up traveled as far as a few kilometers away, and countless meteorites crisscrossed in the air, circling around the entire cruise ship as they all exploded at the same time, turning the world as bright as day. "No way!" Zhi Ziaduo cried, on the verge of losing it. "You're still in the mood to set off fireworks at a time like this? I was originally planning to set them off at 12 o'clock for you to see, and we didn't get to eat the cake either. They wrecked all my plans," Xicheng said into Zhi Ziaduo's ear, frowning as he spoke. "Happy birthday, Happy New Year, wifey. It's all right, you'll remember it all." "What?" Zhi Ziaduo shouted. "I said, wifey." Xicheng said loudly. "What are you saying, ah?" Zhi Ziaduo originally wanted to pretend that he hadn't heard it, but when Xicheng shouted it, he wanted nothing more than to sink into the ocean. Xicheng watched Zhi Ziaduo, who was torn between laughing and crying. "What are you doing all of this extra nonsense for? We're escaping right now. Maybe a different form of address." "How's the missus sound?" Xicheng asked. "It's not an issue of address." Zhi Ziaduo's tears flew in the wind that came right at his face. "Take it a little easy," Feng Li said into his earpiece as he led his subordinates in a retreat to the uppermost deck. "We're also preparing to escape. I wish you luck." "Thanks for your hard work," Xicheng said into the earpiece. "Happy New Year, Feng Li." Feng Li lowered his head, leading all of his subordinates in a deep bow in the direction of the ocean. With that, everyone turned in midair and leaped towards the water. In the air, Feng Li's body began to glow, before 9 glowing tails appeared, and he took the form of Hume. He then shook himself vigorously before landing in the water, where he turned into a white, 9-tailed ice fish, leading hundreds of black swimming fish as they all turned and swam towards the shore. "This won't work," Chen Zhen said to Qi Wei. "Summon a dragon. Quickly. Otherwise we won't be able to catch up." Qi Wei stood at the stern of the ship, biting down on a talisman. His hands formed a sword seal and he closed his eyes, his entire body beginning to glow with a golden light. He then made a hand gesture, spread his arms wide, and leaped into the ocean. In the next moment, a long, brown dragon appeared out of the water, before vanishing again. 10 seconds later, the brown dragon appeared out of the water in the distance, sending up a crashing wave that went curving off to the 2 sides. The brown dragon swiftly flew towards the lifeboat, but the lifeboat was also growing steadily faster, having long since disappeared out of view from the cruise ship. From the distant horizon came the hum of a motor, and a seaplane came flying over, blocking the lifeboat's way forward. Just as the lifeboat was shooting along towards the airplane, Xicheng shouted, "Grab tightly onto me." Zhi Ziaduo hugged Xicheng's waist tightly, and Xicheng yanked at the control rope on the side of the prow. The lifeboat turned sideways, and the centripetal force sent the 2 of them flying out, into the cabin of the seaplane. Ah, Zhi Xiaoduo saw stars from the impact of their crash. Shi Cheng's forehead slammed into something in the plane with a loud thud. Are you all right? Shi Cheng. Zhi Xiaoduo said. Shi Cheng struggled to sit up, and he said, close the cabin door. Zhi Xiaoduo closed the cabin door, while Shi Cheng pulled up on the joystick. The seaplane turned around and lifted into the air, flying towards the sky filled with dark clouds. Zhi Xiaoduo put on the seat belt, and the plane flew through the sky. Zhi Xiaoduo looked back, but Shi Cheng said, keep the box on you. There was a belt tied to the box, so Zhi Xiaoduo tied it across his front, before asking Shi Cheng, you even know how to fly a plane? Fengli taught me, Shi Cheng said. I've only been learning for a day. Check the radar, is there anything chasing after us? There are 3 dots of light, Zhi Xiaoduo said. As Shi Cheng began to flick on all sorts of indicators, unable to remember which ones were useful, he unconsciously glanced at Zhi Xiaoduo, before asking, want to play around with it? No, no, no. Zhi Xiaoduo almost peed his pants out of fright. This isn't something to play around with. Fly properly. Shi Cheng was evidently in a good mood, and he began to chuckle. He glanced back at the rear of the cabin, before saying, if you're tired, go sleep in the back for a bit. Zhi Xiaoduo yelled internally, bro, who would be able to fall asleep in a situation like this? Are you hungry? Shi Cheng asked another question. Zhi Xiaoduo said, I'm about to throw up. Then I'll do my best to fly a little steadier, Shi Cheng said. Trust in your husband. Zhi Xiaoduo raged internally, who's playing husband and wife with you? Ah. The helicopter's been left behind. Zhi Xiaoduo let out a breath in relief upon seeing no more glowing dots on the radar. Where are we going now? Shi Cheng said, look at the map. We'll go wherever you want to go. Zhi Xiaoduo held the box, asking Shi Cheng, this is a historical relic, right? Probably, Shi Cheng said, after freezing for a moment. What of it? Illegal smuggling of national relics is against the law. Zhi Xiaoduo was at the end of his rope. This is a crime. It's all right, Shi Cheng said. What do you mean, it's all right? Zhi Xiaoduo cried out bitterly in his heart. Shi Cheng said, after we're done using it, we'll return it, and that'll be fine. Whatever you say goes. Zhi Xiaoduo suddenly realized, wasn't this basically bringing historical relics back to their motherland? If that was how it was, then Shi Cheng was a good person. He had misjudged him. You, what exactly do you do? Zhi Xiaoduo asked, filled with doubt. Are you also in special forces? Someone said, Shi Cheng murmured to himself, that they wanted me to be a great hero who would save the world. What do you think? Zhi Xiaoduo. But suddenly, Shi Cheng's expression changed and he looked down at the seaplane's radar display. What is this? Zhi Xiaoduo discovered that a glowing green blob had appeared on screen. In the vast night sky floated layers upon layers of dark clouds, while the enraged seas stretched for thousands of miles. In the night so dark that you wouldn't be able to see your fingers if you stretched your hand out in front of you, a coiling dragon rose up out of the sea, undulating in the air. Its claws and scales glowed with light as it came racing towards the seaplane. Sit tight. Shi Cheng pulled the joystick back, and with a flip, the plane dodged the dragon, dropping in altitude. Right after that, something seemed to approach from within the clouds. Qi Wei, who was standing on the dragon head, suddenly opened his eyes, lifting his head to look towards the clouds. Who? Qi Wei asked. Thunder rumbled in the sky, and a bolt of lightning came shooting down. The dragon let out an angered roar as it was hit by the lightning, before plummeting right down into the ocean. Oh, it vanished again, Zhi Xiaoduo said. Who was that? Shi Cheng asked in disbelief. Right after that, the second bolt of lightning struck the seaplane, and the plane billowed with black smoke as it nosedived towards the ocean. Zhi Xiaoduo opened his mouth, but no sound came out. With all his might, Shi Cheng pulled up on the joystick. There was an explosion from the tail of the plane, which sent both of them flying out. Shi Cheng grabbed Zhi Xiaoduo's collar very tightly, pulling him close to himself. Zhi Xiaoduo watched as Shi Cheng's face got closer and closer, and right after that, Shi Cheng pulled him into his arms. In the next moment, the impact of hitting the water struck him like a club over the head, causing him to pass out. But then the sea water washed over them, causing Zhi Xiaoduo to be startled awake the next second. He swallowed 2 mouthfuls of sea water before Shi Cheng pulled him up to the surface. A wave crashed over them, and Shi Cheng's head popped out of the water. Zhi Xiaoduo struggled non-stop, but Shi Cheng shouted into his ear, "Don't be afraid. Nothing will happen to us." Zhi Xiaoduo bobbed up and down in the water for a while, before he finally managed to come back to his senses. The surface of the ocean calmed once more, and both of them were both bedraggled beyond belief. Shi Cheng paddled with great effort, while Zhi Xiaoduo held him around the neck, looking up at the sky. "What happened just now?" Zhi Xiaoduo asked. Shi Cheng's expression was one of doubt as he looked up at the night sky. "Shi Cheng, I don't know." "Zhi Xiaoduo, were we attacked?" "It looked like it was lightning." "Shi Cheng, who exactly was it?" Zhi Xiaoduo didn't understand. "It was lightning." "I know it was lightning, but there was no reason for it," Shi Cheng murmured. "What do we do now?" Zhi Xiaoduo asked. "Shi Cheng." Zhi Xiaoduo. The vast sea was impossibly silent, its surface was calm. The dark clouds and the wild winds had all vanished without a trace, revealing the brilliant wintry silver river shining above international waters. Shi Cheng and Zhi Xiaoduo floated in the sea water, and the waters spread vast around them, the shore nowhere in sight. "Oh my God," Zhi Xiaoduo's voice echoed through the air. End chapter.